So it's a bit of a quiet week in international rugby with the bye coming up this weekend to allow the teams to travel home, see their loved ones, and all that. So there's not really a whole lot of content, and I guess it doesn't help that particular people make complaints to YouTube that the entire video is using copyright material, which is this is unfortunate. That's happened to my biggest hit, the Bongi try video, and but look, I have gone and appealed it because it is inaccurate. Look, I have certainly used Rugby Championship footage, but I did apply the credits. So it's certainly not a copyright to the whole video because unless someone owns the rights to me. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame, and the subscriber thing has come. But yes, so in any case, it's not really my place to rest on my laurels. But by the way, if anyone, if you think, let me know if you think this email rugby@copyrightintegrity.com feels legitimate or not, or it's just some jealous All Blacks fan who really who just really decided to throw a tantrum and get my video struck. See, I'm not really sure if Sansa has put it, given that Google, YouTube have these AIs that can detect it, and the video was designed in the fact that in the event that the front couldn't be used, I could just chop it off. So there you go. So, firstly, in the tight forwards, there's no doubt it is absolutely stacked at the moment, and it's looking very, very healthy. Hooker, you've got, I think Cody Taylor is going to make it to the next World Cup. By that stage, he will be 36, which, for a hooker is still, that's sort of, still considered a prime age, and he's playing better, he's playing as good as he could. And then you've got Asafo Moores pushing really hard. I guess, his line-out throwing is getting there, but, that is something that, coaching, practice with Jason Ryan absolutely will work. And look, I think currently at the moment, Omur is number 2, given the fact that Sami Soni Takiaho, who was at one stage the number 1, is currently injured. I'd expect Takiaho back anytime soon. He's too good a player to ignore. Obviously, it will take time for him to get back to his best, but I think Takiaho isn't there. So that will kind of displace George Bell, who's 22. He's certainly probably one for the next Rugby World Cup cycle, in my opinion, at 22. He's got plenty of time. But certainly, look, if you look outside those 4, you've got George Bell's brother Henry, who played for Otago last night and looked really, really good, actually. So it'll be interesting. First time that 2 brothers compete for the same position in the All Blacks. It's possible. I'd see that after the after the 2027 Rugby World Cup. So hooker is certainly not a problem area. Prop, you've got Tamaiti Williams and Ethan the Groot, who are quite clearly our premier looseheads, and it's great that we have 2 who could possibly not only just be the number 1 choice for the All Blacks at loosehead, but possibly in the world. I mean, look, they did really well against France and Ox, in the 2 props in the South African front row, and look, obviously they have age on their side, and there's plenty of scope or potential for them to develop. And so I think that is certainly a very loose head prop is looking very strong. The other side of the prop's looking great. Tyrell Lomax is clearly in the peak of his career, and I think has established himself as one of those All Blacks that effectively almost need to start him every game if he's fit. He is the anchor at the tight head side. You've got Fletcher Newell on the bench. Ofa Tungafasi can play both sides. And I guess speaking of Ofa, look, he's signed an extension. He's 32 at the moment, and like Cody Taylor, he'll be 35 at the Rugby World Cup. So, pretty much at the peak of his time. So, and then you got Pasilio Tosi, who is along with George Bell, one of the other bolters in this All Black side. Tosi's 26, which, again, prop for a prop that's still, approaching the peak. And I guess, look, the coaches really like what they've seen. I certainly see like what I've seen with Tosi, And yeah, so certainly one will look. But if you look outside the squad, there's I guess you've still got the Ollie Norris there. Look, there's I think so certainly prop is looking pretty healthy for the All Blacks. And I think certainly as long as Jason Ryan's there, I think that is an area that we can feel really comfortable in. Same with lock. Okay, so Scott Barrett is the captain, but now he's the incumbent lock, and that's certainly his preferred. That's ideally his first position. Although, look, I'll talk a bit more about Scott Barrett. Tupou Vaa'i, I think, is pretty much now the other lock. Given his performances so far this season, I thought he had his best game against the Springboks in Cape Town. His workload, the lineouts with the ball, defense is all excellent. So I think it is pretty much. I mean, at the moment, it feels like Scott Barrett and Tupou Vaa'i. But yeah, look, I guess. Look, I would jump into it. I wonder, given with the likes of Sam Cane moving on, with Ethan Blackadder establishing himself as as a potential first choice open side, will we move Ethan Blackadder open to fill the Sam Cane role? Artie Sevier is going to be at the back of the scrum. Could that mean that Scott Barrett moves to 6 to a blindside position? There might be some merit to that. I mean, he's the captain, so unless he's injured, you couldn't really drop him. So that opens up the door, perhaps, to get Sam Derry, who's had a really excellent start to his All Blacks career. He's 24. He could, he along with Tupou Vaa'i, have a very, very long future. You could wonder, could you establish Derry as as the up to partner Tupou Vaa'i? That's one option they could consider. Maybe, you could possibly see that, when you could possibly bring Derry off the bench as an impact player to move Barrett to 6. That's one option there. Could they start it? Who knows? We shall see there. But it is a nice little problem to have there. And then of course, you've got Josh Lord, who could play lock. I mean, Ethan Blackadder could be an emergency lock if injuries force it. I doubt that, but. And then you've got Patrick Tuipulotu, who's signed on extension. So lock is certainly not an area where we're struggling. I don't think we have there are plenty of other good NPC players, but I don't think at this stage we'll be looking to dive too deeply into that. Loose forward, you could argue. Look, I think 6 and 8 blindside is very strong. I might talk about open side and as an area that we need to address. But as I said, you got your certainly Ardie Savia. He's got to be number 8. You got Wallace Satiti there. I mean, Hoskins Sotutu, could they still call him back? I mean, I think the door's not quite shut on him, and he's continuing to play really well for Counties. You've got Sam Withy for Highlanders Southland. And we should mention the talented Jamie Hanna for lock. I should mention, but his time will possibly come, maybe even as a loose forward. So certainly, look, I mean, 6 and 8 appears to be all right there. We move on to the backs. Halfback is looking pretty strong. Even with TJ Perenara going, I almost feel at this stage now whether we look at, Perenara is a very good player to have in the squad, but whether he plays, I think maybe it is time to perhaps start placing a bit more work on Ratimer and Hotham at the moment. Hotham off the bench, just to see how they go. I think. Yeah, and I guess we're jumping ahead now. Maybe Ratimer and Hotham to play against, maybe feature against the Wallabies, see how they go. I mean, no disrespect to the Wallabies, but I mean, it is a bit of a step down from, the pressure cooker of Cape Town, Johannesburg. Look, I'm going to talk about first 5-8 because I think in a bit that's an area of concern. Centre's looking pretty good. Geordie Barrett, David Havili, Rico Ioane, Anton Leonard-Brown, Billy Proctor, who's had a superb start to his All Blacks career. I anticipate he's going to feature in a bit more. Rico Ioane, Geordie Barrett's clearly our established centre partnering, and then got the class of Anton Leonard-Brown. Wings looking all right. Look, I mean, wing fullback. I think I'll put them in to. Look, I mean, there's question marks about Severies and Mark Talia, whether look they're form players, but I guess there's the concerns about their defense, and I think Talia didn't exactly have the best game of his life in Cape Town, and the way they cut in a lot is, I think certainly the cutting in is a bit of an issue. I think we certainly missed the go forward ball of Caleb Clark with injury. So, and I'm not entirely sure what his health is ahead of the Wallabies games. So we could very well see Severies and Martelia there. Will Jordan is pretty much, look, if he's fit, he's going to play. He's going to start. He's going to start. I'm not as question marks about whether he's a fullback or a wing, but in whatever position. Don't forget, Will Jordan has had some time away from rugby, so he's still trying to find his feet. And the fact he's scoring tries and he's not quite 100% just shows the quality of the player. So Will Jordan, if he's fit, he's either a fullback or a wing. That's no questions about that. Ruben Love as well hasn't had a cap yet. Harry Plummer, neither has Harry Plummer. I think I will talk about what the future is for the All Blacks in the final segment, but certainly, look, in terms of wing fullback depth, I think it's a position that the All Blacks have never really had any issues with. So, with those positions, it always comes down to it's often always down to current form. So, don't forget, of course, you've got Imoni Narawa in the wing, playing NPC. Would the All Blacks take a punt on Timoni Tanatavai? He's not, Fiji under 20. It's funny how that the All Blacks have always been accused of stealing players from the Pacific Islands, but here's a player, Tamatavai, he's been brilliant for Tasman, was key in the Ranfurly Shield win in the Hawke's Bay last weekend. Run straight, has done the business with the Highlanders as well. I mean, Fiji don't appear interested in could the All Blacks swoop in and take a player that Fiji didn't really want. Remains to be seen. That's a bit of a long shot there, but look, let's talk about two positions that are of real concern now. So as I said, one position, the rest of at the back row, 6 and 8 is looking fine. Open side's a bit of a concern. Look, Sam Cane, as we know, Sam Cane's moving on at the end of the season. Ethan Blackadder has sort of been earmarked as his replacement for now. But the concern, of course, is he's had a lot of injury breaks. And recent example, Cape Town, he was not available for selection, so they brought in Wallace Titi at 6. Sam, I think people now are starting to appreciate the value Sam Cane brings. He's not he's never going to be a Richie McCaw, and I don't think he should be compared to that. Look, let's say he has the work rate. He just, personality-wise, he's not quite the, Richie McCaw. Richie McCaw is a once-in-a-generation player. I mean, has a case even to be considered our greatest All Black. And to compare Sam Cane and Richie McCaw is incredibly harsh on Sam Cane. Look, there are circumstances that haven't suited him, and I'd argue, he seems to have a penchant on, trying to mime Sai Khaleesi, some might say. But look, you can't fault his work rate. His tackling rate is outstanding. And I think the concern now is with him going, who is going to step in and take his place? For me, I guess, if it's not Ethan Blackadder, you could Dalton Papali'i and Luke Jacobson. I think those are the two players you look at. For me, I'd look at Luke Jacobson. I think he's sort of the player, work rate wise, tackling. He could possibly replicate the numbers that Sam Cane has, and he's unassuming, quiet. I mean, he could be like for like there for Sam Cane, and he's been really good in the last couple of seasons. Again, question marks about his health. He's had a couple of absences due to concussion, but although it feels like he's starting to come out of that shadow a bit. Dalton Papali'i, look, there's some question, I don't think he's necessarily had the best season for the Blues. But again, work rate is something that he's never been faulted on. So that's another player they could call up. Look, I mean, for a start, open side flanker has always been a position the All Blacks have never had it. It's never seemed to have had issues with. I mean, you go back to the days of Richie McCaw. We could call it, when Richie McCaw was started, you could call out Marty Holler. Then you had like players like Daniel Braid, you had Tanara Latimer, you had Josh Blackie. You could even consider Liam Nessam as a 7. But look, it's always been a position that's going back to the days of Walker Nathan, has been a position that we've always had amazing depth. And I think I think it is just really trying to blood players there and experience. But certainly that is one area that we particularly, I think, look, it is, I'd highlight as a position of concern given that, the amount of tackles Sam Cane has done. So, and certainly the succession plan needs to be there. The other position is first 5/8, as I mentioned. Look, and I think this is an area of real concern for the All Blacks. Currently, of course, they've got Damien McKenzie and Bowden Barrett. You could have Geordie Barrett, David Havili as emergency options, but that's really at a stretch of their injuries there. But look, Damien McKenzie, I'm pleased that he's getting his chances right now as the first choice number 10. I think it's quite clear that he is that ahead of Bowden Barrett. But my concern, look, Damien, while he's playing pretty well, he's 29 now. So if you consider by the time you get the World Cup comes in Australia, he's gonna be 30, 31, 32, which is all right. But I guess he could be at his peak. That's just one player though. I still have some question marks. Goal kicking still pretty good. Just feelings about defense and all that, and all-round game. I'm still I'm still yet to see one where he can fully control a game against a really top side, South Africa, against the Springboks, your Ireland, France. Still yet to be convinced that he could really do that. So that is one concern there. Bowden Barrett, he's 33. He's going to be 36 in 2027. But look, I think it's his impact is absolutely amazing. And it feels like right now though he's really, I think he's not the best orchestrator of the game right now. And it feels more like you bring him on for his fresh legs pace. Playing him out of fullback. So that really, and the options outside. I'm talking about Geordie Barrett, David Havili as emergency options, but I think you have to, if you're wanting to look at a consistent first 5/8 option for the future, there's not really a whole lot of options to look at. Josh Jacob for Taranaki has been touted as the next All Black first 5. But he's not even played he hasn't even featured for the All Blacks, and it's a big ask just to suddenly chuck him in and expect him to be the next Dan Carter, or to be even orchestrate a game in against South Africa or France and Ireland. But the talent is there, but I think it certainly has to be managed. And I very well could see him, as I'll talk about, jumping again. We could very well see him as an apprentice, or even in the full team for the end of year tours again. The games against Japan, England, Ireland, France, and Italy. So given the way he's played for Taranaki, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But really, look, I guess the concern outside Josh Jacob, you look at the others. I guess Balin Sullivan for Auckland. Lignan McClutchy, I think that the ship has kind of sailed past. there's not really a whole lot of options. There's a lot of young players, solid players. Your Cam Millers, Sam Gilbert maybe got Brett Cameron's. Brett Cameron's pretty much journeyman status, so that is a bit of an alarm bells ringing there for me. I mean, look, if DMAC was to go down, then you would have I think you would have a little bit of a crisis there. So yeah, so something that really needs to be worked on for the future. But there is time, and there's 3 years. Josh, but there is certainly potential there. Oh yes, of course, the other options: Ruben Love, who could play first 5; Harry Plummer, first 5; Stephen Perifetta could, although he's more fullback. So, but yeah, as I said, those are really like backup options that really we can't really just rely on those. So open line and first 5. That's certainly 2 areas that we need to look at. So I've sort of talked about the future ahead, got the 2 tests against Australia in Sydney, Wellington, then we've got Japan. We've got a whole month after the Wellington game. We've got Japan in Yokohama, England at Allianz Stadium / Twickenham, Ireland, France, Italy. It's a very, very tough tour. Having said that, though, I think this is right now is the time where we need to realize we clearly do not have a team that could win the Rugby World Cup. That will win the Rugby World Cup 2020. We don't have a team that can go, play South Africa next year and win even 1 test, let alone 2. So now I think it's the time we've got to start looking at other options to open up the field, pick some names. And particularly in those weak positions, and start to open the competition and see how they go. England, Ireland, France, they're going to be tough. Even Italy, from a forwards perspective, and Japan, they are going to be challenging. There's not really any more easy games in World Rugby. I mean, even the Fiji game, some might say, that was, Fiji probably were disappointed in that game in San Diego. So I think taking them out of the environment in Johannesburg and Cape Town, if you can sit and putting in don't get me wrong, Twickenham, Aviva Stadium, Stade de France, or they're going to be tough places, but I think the notch is definitely a little bit down from Ellis Park or Greenpoint Stadium in Cape Town. So certainly this is not a time. I would almost say to TJ Perriner, Sam Cane, while they should stay in the squad, I think perhaps they should be left there as mentors, to the next guys, to give them tips. On how to take on how to play test rugby in tough away from home in tough arenas. So so maybe even Australia, I could say Cortes, maybe TJ Perriner, drop Sam Cane and TJ Perriner, bring in Luke Jacobson or Dalton Papali'i for that number 7 halfback. You could have Cortes, Reitman, and Noah Holston there. As your halfback. So yeah, but what are your thoughts? I know that's the thing. Test rugby, you've always got to play your best team. But having said that, I think we also have to think about the future. And you could argue that we don't have our best team right now, and so we've got to start identifying that. And these 2 tests against Australia, Japan, England, Ireland, France, Italy, I think that is the opportunity to start reevaluating the team and just auditioning other players to see who would be in our first team. But look, what are your thoughts? Who should we play against Australia in Sydney? Who should we play against Australia in Wellington? And then, of course, looking ahead, who should be in the end of season 2. And of course, if you like this video, do feel to like and don't forget to subscribe.